For the loss of a loved one, I was on the precipice. How do I say that word? Precipice?
Precipice.
Precipice? Is that right?
Yeah, precipice.
Precipice. Okay. And that's where I tied. Pacing the waiting room, I can't help but feel a. Pacing the waiting room, I can't help but. As a physics instructor, no, cannot be created or destroyed. But why did I have to? With each step, I think of how I will strive. Yes, I asked as I just. Oh my god. Hush. Hello dears, Natalie Locke here with episode 111 of Write the Story, where I give you a prompt and 10 words out of this book and give you a chance to write the story. And I also share my own process with this, where I take about 5-10 minutes to outline and 20 minutes, usually more, to write the story. If you want to see me write a story in 30 minutes, join Chandra and I for Flash Fiction Live every single Saturday at 8:30 Eastern, either on my channel or on her channel on alternating Saturdays. We do it every Saturday, we just alternate whose channel it will be each Saturday. If you would like to join me in this writing process, let me go ahead and give you the prompt and 10 words for episode 111. The prompt is the loss of a loved one. The words to include are bachelor, chandelier, ladybug, Muslim, strive, inverse, mannerism, balance, overreact, and prime. Now, this story itself actually didn't take me long to outline or write, hardly at all. What did take me some time is to get this video done, because right after I was done writing this, I got sick. And I was not about to record anything. So, if you're wondering why it's late, that's why. As I have said before, when it comes to the outline with these 10 words, what I do is I just get glimpses of how to put the 10 words in there, and then it's when I draft the story that I'm able to interconnect those glimpses and tie them together. For the loss of a loved one, it started to kick off with an idea of somebody actually losing someone they love, but then I was thinking, well, maybe a first pet, or is it a family member? How close is this family member to them? Do we get glimpses into a grandparent who practically was a second parent, or is it a cousin that was practically a sibling? What kind of bond did these people have? And then I was thinking, why do I have to determine who passed away at all? What if it would suck either way, whether someone died and someone lived, but you don't know who. So that's kind of the route I went. So the first word is bachelor, and I was thinking the way we always think of our own lives and reflect. If my bachelor self could see me today, they wouldn't believe I'd be here. And that was what the main character was. So immediately I knew my main character was a male. And I toyed with the idea of going first person or third person acute. I ended up going first person just because I really wanted to be inside the head of our main character. This word I thought of was his little ladybug. So I was thinking ladybug was going to be a nickname for a child or a soon-to-be child. Then the word balance. I immediately thought of scales, and I thought the balance of the universe hits him on the same day. And that will make sense in a little bit. For Muslim, I actually pictured a Muslim man also in this story, where the other male character, Muslim, is on the same precipice as our main character of fatherhood. And that's where I tied mannerism. They're almost taking the same mannerisms, not meaningful copying of each other, but because they're in similar predicaments of worry, they're reacting the same. Then inverse, this was a very easy word to incorporate here, because when you're struggling and you see someone you love struggling with it, something that you can't help them with, you want to inverse the situation. You want to be in their place and let them be safe while you suffer. Then for Prime, I was thinking, because of the mimicking mannerisms between the two fathers, I was thinking this is a prime example of how quick someone takes the gauntlet of being a father. I was thinking of that, of like, this hits early. And that's how I used Prime, was prime example. For overreact, this is the main character talk to themselves, where they say don't overreact. Just because you were kicked out of the OR, and I was already starting to piece together the story here, but just because you're kicked out of the other OR doesn't mean there is danger, doesn't mean you're going to lose them. And that's kind of the angst that our character has the whole time. Our narrator and our main character, actually. And for strive, that was an easy one. Kind of tying back to the Bachelor comment of someone looking back, we always think we're falling short in whatever job we have, whether it's an actual career job or as a parent. We think something is wrong. We're screwing up our kids. we're not getting it right. And then sometimes we're like, no, I got it right, but then maybe we're taught later we didn't. We always see other people as parents, or even think of our own parents and think, I want to be better than that. Some of us feel like that's an easier task. Others may have been blessed where their parents set the gold standard and they hope to achieve that. But either way, the word strive, I was thinking of strive to be better. And that was a very easy word to fit into this plot that I had going on in my head. Now, this last one for chandelier, hopefully the picture, the metaphor conveys strongly enough. But I said the situation was like a spindle chandelier that is slowly unraveling and now held by a single thread. I don't know if that works, but we will see. So, out of the 10 words, none of them changed. And I think it's because while I was writing the outline, once somewhere in the line I actually pictured the story and how it was going to flow, that's why my words didn't change, because I was kind of starting to write the story as I was writing the outline, in my head at least, but I kept with the glimpses. Also, sorry if there's any background noise. There is a thunderstorm going on, so we're going to see how long I can record here. Now let me go ahead and read you my version of episode 111. I was asked to leave the operating room, the room that held my wife and newborn daughter. Don't overreact, I tell myself. That doesn't mean their lives are in danger. Pacing the waiting room, I can't help to feel like a spindle chandelier that has unraveled to a single thread. There is a Muslim father pacing as well. We lock eyes for a moment. I include him in my prayer to all deities for my family to be okay. A prime example of understanding among parents, even the brand new ones, and the innate mannerisms of new fatherhood. My past bachelor self would be in disbelief if I told him not only was I married, but also a father. He never believed the love you can have for someone to not just create a life with them, but also fall in love with that life even before you lay eyes on them. Catherine's and my ladybug had just joined us, and I would give anything to inverse the scenario with either of them. Have me on the operating table or waiting to take my first breath. As a physics professor, I know there is a balance in the universe. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. But why did I have to face both ends of the scales? A nurse entered the waiting room, halting the other father and I in our tracks. Mr. he said, looking down at his chart. I lock eyes with my brother and father as we both take in a breath of courage. Himley? He asked. The other father let out his breath as I found myself holding mine and stepping forward. With each step, I think of how I will strive to be better every day, show my daughter how significant she is, and to treat people with kindness by example in how I treat her mother. I will hold them both in my arms, savor every moment, make sure I tell them I love them every chance I get, starting this moment and ending when my soul leaves my body. Yes, I asked as I stopped just within arm's reach of the nurse. She is ready for you, he said. With this story, I'm actually very proud of myself because I feel like I was able to give the angst that I wanted to give and set the scene. Luckily, this being set contemporary, I don't have to spend too much time in making this setting. I can focus more on the people and the emotions, which I think is what gives flash fiction power, is those moments of emotion or dragging them out. I played with time in multiple ways here. I made time last a very long time in this short description, but then I also stretched out a short amount of time through long descriptions, such as when our main character, Mr. Henley, was walking to the nurse. That time being stretched out of a prayer, a hope, a promise of what the future was going to bring. Then the final line. And I think the final line is my favorite, but it's only my favorite because you have to get the entire story before you get to the final line of she is ready for you. It wasn't they, it was she. And I'm wondering if anybody picked up on that. But I love that line. I think it's really powerful. Now, if we take out the hey, you need everything else to have a great line, I have a different line in mind. My favorite line, without the background, the lead up to it, my favorite line that I think holds its own by itself is, "The other father let out his breath as I found myself holding mine and stepping forward." Just those two moments, the two emotions at the same time. I think it's a picture. It's a beautiful picture. Not quite beautiful because you also feel that this is a little bit of a tragedy, but I feel that line shows the break in their bond. They were bonded together, two fathers stressed, and one is called up to face what has happened while the other one still has hope. And that anxiety has released while our main character, Mr. Henley, is about to find out what has transpired while he's been pacing. Now, I know I went out of order and I talked about my favorite line, but let me talk about my two least favorite lines, only because I feel like them being specific lines, I can pick more, and plus, hey, it's my video. At 365 words, I do have room to work with this flash and make it stronger and better. Now, the first line, I'm not sure if the metaphor is conveying exactly what I want it to be. I'm not sure if it sets a picture in someone's mind to show how frail the situation is, how frail the person's emotions are. The line is, "Pacing the waiting room, I can't help to feel like a spindle chandelier that has unraveled to a single thread." Hopefully the imagery is there, but I also feel like I'm falling short there. And it's also a situation where I had to use the word chandelier, so we just threw in what we had. I think it worked with what I had, but I also think it can be better to show the frail state that our main character is in. The other line that I felt definitely needs some work, almost because I think it came across as like braggadocious of the main character, but I was also trying to incorporate the word balance and have another symbolism of life and death hitting this person on the same day. And the phrase is, "As a physics professor, I know there is a balance in the universe. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but why did I have to face both ends of the scales?" I like the imagery. I'm really in love with that, but I also think the words that I could use to convey that imagery could be a lot better. Maybe it's going to take some time on both of those phrases for me to just back away, get away from the story, figure out what I like, what I didn't like, and come back to it later, and then I'll know exactly how to write it from a fresh pair of eyes. Technically, your cells renew every 7 years, but I don't plan to take that long to finish editing all the flash fictions that I have. Yes, I am a nerd. Hopefully you enjoyed my version of episode 111, or even found passion in your own flash fiction writing this time or any of the other times that you may have joined me or just decided to do your own passions. I hope you find joy in them in some aspect, even if it's one line or a paragraph or a phrase or one word that you feel you used really well. I hope you find that joy, and I hope you find it every single day, every week, every month, and every year.